Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about 5 things that I do not like about the Insta360 Go Ultra. This has been a fantastic camera and there are way more things that I do like. But after about a week or week and a half of using this, I'd say fairly extensively, I have a couple of things that I don't like that I think that Insta360 might be able to improve on future generations or even this one, but here are those things. So number 1 is the free frame mode on the Insta360 Go Ultra. Now free frame was introduced with the original, I think with the Go 2. And what that was is basically you had a square sensor in the Go 3 and the Go 2 that had almost like a 360 lens, like one 360 lens. And free frame mode would allow you to shoot in that one lens, and then you could reframe or punch in on the parts that you wanted to in the image and kind of create almost like a 360 degree feeling. So you could have a stationary shot where it was keyframing in, around, there was a little bit of latitude to move side to side, and it was just like a very unique feature. And it kind of, to me, made the whole process of having to put it through the app worth it. When they launched the Go 3S, they went to a bigger sensor, which obviously allowed the 4K, which obviously you got better resolution, but it took away the function to be able to get that kind of almost dome effect. So you ended up just getting a 4x3 file with the ability to add stabilization and field of view later, but you couldn't keyframe or move around the frame like you could before. In the Go Ultra, it's the same thing as the Go 3S, except for you're getting a wider field of view. So I love the image quality coming out of this, but free frame mode to me is almost useless unless you want to choose the field of view that you want later, but that's going to require a lot of extra work. So at least they added 4x3 in the regular mode, so you can actually get 4x3 stabilized without having to go through the app. But the free frame mode, I think it's something that Insta360 should look into for future generations, where maybe have like a square sensor in these cameras, like a higher resolution square sensor that can allow that more dome effect, which I thought was pretty cool. Number 2, the mounting options. So Insta360 has a proprietary mount on the bottom of these cameras, and the Go Ultra is different than the Go 3S. It looks similar, but it's not the same distance, and as well as the Go 3. So the Go 3 and the Go 3S had the exact same mount. I can live with that having to have a different mount, but you know, generation after generation, they've added the same mount. With this one, they've added a new mount again, but this to me was a very, I don't think this was a good idea, because you've already got the Ace Pro 2, which is bigger in every way than the Go Ultra, and it's got this kind of clip mount. The X5, which I have right here, has the exact same mount. So we have a nice little ecosystem of the same mount on these kind of more, like, these are the flagship cameras from Insta360. And to me, the Go Ultra fits right into the lineup. Like, if you have, like, it would be reasonable if you were in the Insta360 ecosystem to have these 3 cameras. I think that was a huge miss. I think being able to exchange mounts between all 3 of these cameras is not only reasonable, but would add so much more versatility for Insta360 in the full ecosystem of things. So I think that is a pretty big miss, and it kind of like a little bit dampens everything, having to have this separate mount and not being able to use your previous Go series cameras. So, well, again, it's not a deal breaker. I just think that could have been done better. All right, number 3. There's been some talk about this on the internet already, and this is not an exclusive problem to Insta360 Go Ultra, and that's the close focus distance on these lenses. So when you have a fixed lens camera, it is fixed to infinity. So everything will be in focus to infinity because you can't change the focus point. What that means is that based on the sensor size and the lens size, you're going to have either a shallower point of focus, like minimum focus distance, or a longer one. And because action cameras keep getting bigger and bigger sensors, that distance keeps increasing farther and farther away. So if you had a smaller sensor camera, you might be able to get like 12 inches off of your face in focus. But now with these bigger sensors, it's more like about 1.5 feet to be in sharp focus. So I'm normally holding the camera about here and I think it looks pretty good, but for a lot of shots you want to get closer, and especially with a camera like this that allows you to get into smaller places, and it's like its main use case is to kind of get into those places that are harder for bigger cameras to get into. I think that's where it becomes an issue. So all of these cameras, my DJI cameras, the Ace Pro 2, the X5 is actually not bad at minimum focus, but all of these cameras struggle with close minimum focus. But the Ultra, it's more highlighted because of the way that this camera is used on a daily basis. So they do have a little kind of macro lens type attachment, which I do have here, and I'm going to make a video on this. This is from the Toddler Titan kit. My first impressions of this is like, for certain things, if you want to get really close and get like a stagnant shot, it will work for that, but it's not the best quality. Like there's a lot of pin cushion distortion, and that's okay to me, but it's more so it's very limited use case once you put this on your camera. What I really wish is that DJI or Insta360 would introduce a macro lens mod, kind of like how GoPro had with the 13. GoPro is miles behind in almost every single category when it comes to action cameras, but the macro lens mod is something that they've done exceptionally well. As far, I actually haven't used it, but from looking at it and seeing how it works, it basically has variable focus. So you can have up to 2 inches all the way back to like 2 meters. That is actually good enough to have on your camera 90% of the time, because again, with such a small sensor, you're going to get you in focus right here, and you're going to get slight background blur, probably similar to something like the Osmo Pocket, which we have here. You can see the closer I get, the more blurred the background becomes, but it's not blown out. So something like that, I think, is just just low-hanging fruit for all these companies to build and create for their existing lineup of cameras. Like this is a very versatile feature that I don't understand why more companies aren't putting in a little bit of R&D to have this feature. Number 4 is stereo audio. Now this is not really a big deal for me in my use cases because I'm only vlogging with these cameras, like going around, and I want it to isolate my voice. So I'm already using, I think, voice enhancement. I'm not generally using stereo audio on this camera, but a lot of people have pointed out that even though it's said in there, it looks like it's changed now, where it says original audio used to be called stereo, and I think that was a big point of contention because it wasn't actually recording stereo audio. So you're only getting mono audio out of this camera. And like I said, it's not really an issue for me, but it seems to be for certain people, it's been a very big issue, and I understand that. So I'm bringing it up here because I think that is a con if it is something that you're after. And number 5 is kind of the magnetic mount on this thing. Well, it's bigger and super strong. It's got like this pretty big magnet back here, which I absolutely love. Like for the chest mount, it's secure. It's actually like much better than the Go 3 and the 3S series of being able to stick onto your chest. But when it comes to kind of narrower metal, it wants to rotate like that. So you end up putting it on a pole and you're trying to get a landscape shot, and it just kind of wants to drop like that. Like this seems to be the natural position for the magnet to want to go. And so in the olden days, with the Go 3 and the sensor being square, you could choose the aspect ratio in the camera. So if you wanted to shoot landscape while holding it vertically, you could do that, or vice versa. That made it so perfect for mounting, because you literally just put this, if it was a narrow or a long place like that, you could just change the orientation in camera. You can't do that anymore, and it's not bad. It's something that you should be aware of. Like a lot of times if you're trying to put this on to narrow things, it's going to naturally want to rotate like that. So you got to kind of fandangle it a bit. These are obviously very nitpicky things, but given the climate of YouTube and everything going on, I want to be honest about the things that I don't like about the camera. Even though I don't think they're deal breakers, there's probably something that you should know in case you want to buy these cameras. And like I said in previous videos, I am not a reviewer. I am a user of these cameras. So a lot of these things will show up if there's something that I have an issue with. I'm not going to go deep dive into the settings and look for things that I don't like, because that's a waste of time for me, and I'm just using these on a daily basis. So these are just some of the thoughts and things that I found over a week of intensive use using the Go Ultra, and some little things that I think should be looked at. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, consider doing whatever you want because I don't care. You being here watching the video was good enough for me, so thank you. Enjoy your day, and I will see you hopefully on the next video. Peace.